guess that wasn't really that big of a thing. Similar to like the Super Bowl, it'd be on TV, but it wasn't necessarily something I would always continuously tune into growing up. Once I got to like the age of 15, 16, when I really wanted to pursue basketball over here in America, I really started to actually like tune into that kind of stuff, selection show, the March Madness game. So even though I guess I'm kind of new to it, I feel like I know a lot. It's always something that's really intrigued me. It's the most fun. It's the funnest part of the season. So yeah.
From your experience that you had, I mean, how is it different? How can you feel the difference when you take the floor for a March Madness game versus the rest of the season, even last week?
Yeah, I mean, similar to last week, it's do or die. It's a one-game elimination. The only difference is, obviously, last week we knew that we were going to have this week to play. These games, win or go home. Even though it's, you don't want to lose. It's really exciting. Being able to send a team home is always a really good feeling. Advancing to the next round, playing for your team, playing for your brothers, playing for your community. It's always fun, and we want to go as far as we can. We believe that we can win the whole thing.
Ben, obviously this is your third tournament in 3 years. The past 2 years you guys have won the first game. But can you just kind of speak to the importance of not looking past your first round matchup, not looking towards maybe a potential rematch with Michigan State or Iowa State, really that importance of taking things game by game in a tournament like this?
Yeah, that's something we've really hit on recently, being present, focusing on the game we're in at the moment. We don't want to be thinking 1 game or 2 games ahead because we're going to get away from what we're doing in the moment. We talk about being present, focusing on each play, each possession, each round that we're in, instead of looking forward, because we know that in that moment that's the most important thing.
What's it been like for you in your first season as a starter, just dealing with the highs and lows and sometimes criticisms that come with the gig like that?
It's a privilege to be able to be in the position I am. Being in the starting role, obviously, yeah, it comes with the highs and lows of how I've been playing. But also, it's important to be able to have those moments, those situations, because at the end of the day, that makes me a better player, a better person. Being able to deal with that. Respond to that. My coach hits home on response. That's a big thing in our program, and we've had a lot of times this season where we've had to respond, me personally and as a team. So it's set us up for a really good time right now in March.
You see Cam getting all these accolades. What's your favorite story about him as a teammate?
There's a lot of really good stories about Cam. He's a really funny teammate, but definitely the funniest one I had is last year when we went on our international trip to Italy. Me and Cam were roommates. This was the first time we've been roommates. Coach wanted to have different people matched up with different people, so me and him were together. I got, after probably the second place we were at, second hotel we were at, I got tasked with the job of being the last person to leave the room, because Cam has a habit of leaving stuff behind or forgetting stuff. So I had to do the sweep of the room at the end, and there was a couple times I found like a pair of shoes somehow like under the middle of his bed. Like I don't know how they got under the middle of the bed. His computer. But no, there's obviously a lot of funny stories with him, but he's a character.
This is an entire senior class. We've heard so much about how they've the whole Guardians nickname, how they kind of maintain the status of the program. Any specifics on the leadership they've provided since you've been here?
Yeah, I mean, those 4 have been massive for the program, and also me. In particular, CB, Cam Brown. He was my roommate as a freshman. So me coming here, I was kind of like a really quiet, shy kid, so he was able to, make me get outside of myself, talk, open up. And then that's the same thing for everyone else. It was a really smooth transition. Everyone's really welcoming. We hit home on relationships, and that's something that we really value here, and it shows. Everyone being able to get along. Everyone enjoys being around each other.
And Ben, what's your message to the fans that are watching and attending these games? What do you have to say for them going into this tournament?
It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, we believe that we can go the whole way, and we know that we have all the support from the fans, the community, and we're excited to go out there and play.
And Zaide, you played just a couple minutes in last year's tournament, obviously much bigger role this year. What can you take away from anything you observed or saw last year that will help you going into this year's tournament?
The biggest thing right now that we talked about is just the seeds, with the seeding, whether it's like you're a 1 seed, 15 or whatever it is. Like when we come to this point in the season, like seed doesn't really matter a whole bunch. And we obviously seen that last year with the first game we had. We were able to pull it off, but they did have a couple guys, you know, that got pretty hot. And then at halftime, you know, we had to reset, talk about it, and then we kind of took it away and we were able to pull off the win. But I think just like last year kind of helped me with my humbleness and just being ready. There was times last year where, you know, the game got above like freshmen last year, and I feel like that's a big reason why we didn't play. So just being ready this year, coming off the bench with a lot of energy and a defensive identity.
Now that you guys have had a few days to look at New Mexico, what are just some key takeaways that you've noticed about them and how you guys match up with them?
I think they don't shoot a bunch of threes. They have guys that will shoot, but I think a lot of the teams that we've recently been playing, plus like New Mexico, they want a lot of like inside the paint. So as much as we could take that away, I think it'll be good for us. Just going into the tournament in general, we need to make sure we have a great defensive identity, and I think that will lead to good offense. So as long as we do that and stay connected, I feel like we'll be okay.
Kind of talked about recent games. Obviously, you guys played 2 tournament caliber teams in New York and Xavier and St. John. Just what were you kind of able to take away from the weekend in New York and, you know, kind of apply moving forward here as you enter the big dance?
We're not going to play any lower teams anymore. So just the physicality. It might be different. As they cause wise, it might be different in the tournament than the Big East. So, you know, just the physicality. As long as we could do that, I feel like we'll be fine. But like just inhibitors, like we're not worried about none of that. Just playing for each other, going out there playing for our brothers and the coaching staff. So
Your 3-point shooting as a team, it's kind of been up and down this season. I mean, you know, at this point in the season now, one bad shooting game that could end the season. Like, how do you guys find a consistent 3-point shooting at this time of the year?
I think we talk a lot about our shooting, and you know we put a lot of work into our shooting, and sometimes you know it doesn't go as well as you expect it to. But I think just like we pride ourselves on playing defense. So I feel like if we're having a good defensive game, we'll find ways to put the ball in the basket. You know, just attacking closeouts, trying to get in the paint before we shoot like a lot of like open threes. I mean, it's a higher percentage when you get in the paint and kick it out and shooting that way than just shooting off of one pass and not getting in the paint. So I think just having that defensive identity and turning defense to offense.
Just wondering, playing alongside this senior class, what's the biggest thing you've learned from them, from having worked with these guys?
Leadership. They're like I mean, they came in here with the coaching staff that we have now, and you know they were at some point young guys just like us, and I feel like after last year they took on a big role of just being leaders and you know taking the younger guys under their wings. And I think just when I came on my first visit, you know, they kind of helped me, showed me around, made me feel comfortable. So I think just leadership is the biggest thing right now, and their seriousness from when they were freshmen to now when they were seniors has grew so much. And you know, I wasn't around them a whole bunch, but when I was on my visit, I could definitely see that was one of the areas they grew in.
You talked about how Cam was a big reason why you came to school here. What's it been like to get to know him off the court these last couple of years?
It's been good. You know, he's a funny guy, great teammate. You know, he could be goofy as we all seen, but he also has a level of seriousness to him when it comes to in between the lines in the game. So I think I really appreciate him for that, just helping me find my way through here, giving me confidence, energy, and all that.
And what kind of impact should the fans expect from you as you've earned those minutes that you were talking about before?
I think, like I said before, just the energy. We'll give off energy to the fans, and they'll give it back to us. So I think as much as we can play good, have energy, that'll be really good for us.
How much impact do you think you're gonna make during the tournament?
I think I'll make a good impact. Just coming in the game, like I said, playing defense, guarding the best players. I take pride in that. So, that's one of the biggest areas I'm still trying to get better at, just being able to go in there. And New Mexico, they got some good players and a good guard. So coming in the game, just being able to guard him and lock him up.